Welcome to Spectral Edition. I'm Tim Prossel. I have an article here that is an interesting combination of what feels very much like a fisherman's story, how it keeps getting a bit more exaggerated each time it's told, but at the same time it's got this underlying tragedy to it. It was published in the Pittsburgh Dispatch on July 28, 1890, and the title is A 10-Foot Ghost, now making its home in a Buckeye cemetery. A bold young man attempts to brave the spirit, but retreats in confusion. He will not go outdoors after sunset since. Hamilton, Ohio, July 27th. What is claimed to be a genuine ghost has made its appearance here. The apparition has been seen in the Boudinot burying ground in the First Ward by a number of parties. About a year ago, the grounds were put into the hands of the city council, and an effort made to convert them into a park. The grand old trees that had stood for a century and shaded the tombs were cut down, and the grave mounds were leveled to the earth, the stones being carried away. The grave was robbed of its once solemn beauty and the hallowed associations of years disregarded. Day after day the graves were torn open by the plow and the rotting bones thrown promiscuously upon the ground. A few days ago the plowshare turned up a tombstone bearing the inscription Charlie, age 12, son of Herman and Anna Carter. Soon after this, rumors that were calculated to keep the immediate residents in the house after night were circulated, and some superstitious ones declared that in the old cemetery there were ghosts. A few evenings since, Joseph Myers, who resides on Boudinot Street, had a strange experience. While he was sitting in his doorway shortly before retiring, he looked in the direction of the park and saw a queer-looking object appear. From the deserted Carter tomb arose a shrouded figure. It was about 10 feet in height and carried a torch in its outstretched hand, making at times quite a brilliant light. In a short space of time, the figure seemed to rise and glide toward the street. Myers was somewhat nervous for a short time. He arose, however, and walked across the street and pursued it for the purpose of investigation. But before he could approach the mysterious figure, it suddenly disappeared. It is claimed that the spirits of the bodies that belong to these graves which have been disturbed nightly promenade the grounds. A young man residing on Park Street boldly asserted that he had no fear of any such thing as a ghost, and that he would fathom the mystery of the apparition. Last Friday night he took a seat in the extreme eastern portion of the cemetery to carry out his design. About midnight the ghost arose before him, and he became so badly frightened that he started at a breakneck speed in an easterly direction, and on the following day was discovered hidden in a blackberry patch near Riley, some 13 miles distant from the corporate limits of Hamilton. Since this adventure, he cannot be persuaded to go outdoors after sunset. I'm Tim Prossel, and I've collected over 300 of these ghost reports, all of them printed in actual U.S. newspapers between 1865, the end of the American Civil War, and 1917, when the U.S. entered World War I. I've chosen the scariest, the most intriguing, and a few of the funniest for a book titled Spectral Edition, Ghost Reports from U.S. Newspapers 1865 to 1917. It's at Amazon in paperback and Kindle, and you can find it at other online bookstores too. For more information, visit brombonesbooks.com.